Yo, your mom just called, and I think she said Chickey Delta Phi just came out with a new episode. Now, if you're thinking what I'm thinking, I think it's time that we sit back, relax, and tune into this week's episode. Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Chickey Delta Phi. I'm your host, Caiya, and I have been on vacation. I have been preparing for it. I have been on a boat. I've been having a great time and enjoying myself, but I'm glad to be back. And it's a little bit late, but now the podcast is 2 years old. It's been a roller coaster. We started this back in 2023. It is now 2025. And a lot has happened. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of upgrades, a lot of time put into it here and there. But overall, you guys have been listening since day one. And I have to say thank you so much, because without your support, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be hitting 2 years. We would not be doing any of this. I know I have a funk of not being creative at times, and it happens to the best of us. And I'm working on it and everything, but vacation has been a nice little reset for me. And I know that when we first started this podcast, it was me and Jansen. And I will have to say it goes all the way back to 2020, I believe, because we were stuck in quarantine. And we may have talked about it a couple of times on like past episodes, but it started as an idea. And that idea was like, maybe we should start a podcast, because we were stuck in a quarantine. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on. The world was just going upside down. And we were like, it would be fun if we had a podcast and to share it with anybody. So when that happened, I think I had a laptop of my own at the time, because I was in North Carolina, and I was sitting in my car, and like I had like my Xbox gaming headset, and I'm like, maybe I can run a mic through that maybe I can run the mic through it and record on like, my notes app or something. And so I would sit in my car and just try to record, and I'm like, I can probably save us some money and do a little bit better. And after, let's say like 2022, I was like, we should really get it going and everything. And so it turned into me investing in a microphone, a nice little interface, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Even the software that I'm using, I invested a lot of money, because I'm just like, even if this doesn't become like a full-time hobby, it's still a nice hobby to have. So after investing in everything and learning how to get started podcasting, I got in contact with Jansen. I was like, Jansen, let's start episode 1. And I will say that was a whole dumpster fire in itself. That is not my favorite episode. Even years later, it's not my favorite. And I'm like my biggest critic. And when I say that's not my favorite, it's solely because there was no thought behind it. Not gonna say you. I feel like it was like a deer in headlights. It was like nothing was gonna happen. Like I was excited and nervous at the time, but I wasn't sure of how it was gonna turn out. So it was kind of like let's just run and figure out what's gonna happen. And it was tough. Like, I can't even listen to that one back just because of like how bad the audio was and how much I did not know about editing. It was a fun episode to have, but there were so many things that I could have done better. So I made it a goal for me to do better each and every episode. Now, episode 1, that was recorded on like my interface and everything, and then that was Jansen's phone call was recorded through that. And I think we had we had that entire phone call through Snapchat. It was either Snapchat or just like a regular regular phone call. But I was like, the audio is so trash on this. I don't know like how to edit it. I don't know how to make it better. And so we got to episode 2, and in that episode we had Linnell, which I need to get her back on this podcast and everything, but we had Linnell, so the audio was a little bit better because I found a website similar to Zoom, and I was like, okay, great. We can kind of get it going a little bit. Audio was still a little bit trash. That was on my end because I was not familiar with editing, but had that going as well, and it got a little bit better. But when we first uploaded our very first episode, I think it had hit like 50 downloads, like automatically. And it was mainly from like our friends and family in North Carolina and Georgia. And I was like, oh crap, like we're doing something now. Like we're making progress. We're actually doing something. And for a good minute, I was recording episodes left and right. I was trying my best to do it with Jansen and everything, but like things happen. He ended up, I think at that time, he was graduating, I believe, either graduating or he was in the military, one of the two. But it was so much trial and error when we first started. And there's been a lot of improvement now. And I will say, like, that first episode is so hard for me to listen to because my mom would be like, oh, like, you guys ramble a lot. You guys were talking, like, y'all were laughing too much, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But what makes it hard for me to listen to it is mainly just, like, the constant laughter and, like, the bad audio. So, like I said, I made it, like, my goal to do better. And when it came down to creating everything, like, I did it all solely by myself. Even though I did have help making the logo when we first started. The logo was kind of like a little kid drawing a little bit, but I managed to make it better. And it's still the exact same way that I had it back in 2023. The only difference is that I just upgraded the color a little bit and everything. I'm just rambling a little bit, but it's okay. But starting out, it wasn't easy. And that very first episode, I had a lot of jitters. I was really excited, and I just didn't know what to expect. But through trial and error and getting better each and every episode, I improved. I managed to put more care into the episodes that I had. My favorite episode to this day is still episode 4, Space Cadet. And now my second favorite is going to be Cabin 23 because there was a lot of thought put into that to make it like a story, even though everything that we said was based on true events that had happened. And episode 4, you guys get introduced to Colby. And I am truly grateful to have him part of this podcast and everything. And I'm grateful for our friendship because a lot has changed and we've grown a lot. And he's just like another little brother to me. And I'm glad that there are people that actually enjoy listening to him and having him on because he's Colby. He's part of the family. And I'm glad that I've managed to bring him on as a co-host. And ever since then, he's been on the podcast. I know at times I'm by myself, but when I have somebody else, it's always going to be Colby. And sometimes I wake him up in the middle of the night and I'm like, you know what, let's just record. But we always have something to talk about. And I'm glad that we can meet up whenever it's possible and just have a conversation and to share it with you guys. Because this podcast was mainly built on sharing our stories and showing the world two geezers can just, anything can happen. We're just sharing our story and we're inviting you guys into our crazy world because we live in a small town, but the things that we go through, other people may go through it as well, or it may be a good story that someone's like, oh, I've never experienced that before, or I never heard that before. You never know who you're going to cross paths with. And I will say, when we first started this, I wasn't expecting the podcast to make it out of Georgia and North Carolina. But since then, it has made it around the world to other countries, cities. It's made it to a lot of places. And I'm grateful for that growth. Because if I didn't stick to it, we would not be where we are. And it's so crazy to think about it because we have reached over 12 countries and 95 cities since we started the podcast. And the amount of downloads we have, it was already big when we first started because we hit a lot of accomplishments within that first 2 months of us starting. But we have reached over 700 downloads and we have created over 35 episodes for you guys. And I am grateful to be able to say my passion. It's growing still and everything, but I am grateful to say that through hard work, anything can happen. And I'm not good at writing, but I can tell a story all day. And being able to just talk, it's very therapeutic for me, I will say that. And sometimes you just gotta ramble. And there were episodes where I just ramble and I just talk about my frustrations and everything. But it ends up just being me and whoever's listening. And if you manage to sit through and listen to the entire thing, I appreciate you. Honestly, thank you so much for listening, because I'm not really expecting much. I'm just getting my thought around and just going from there and de-stressing after a long day of work. And a lot of you can agree, sometimes after you get off work, you just want to de-stress and relax. And podcasting is that for me. It's my de-stressor. Sometimes if I'm having a bad day and I'm say if I'm not too tired, I'll just take a shower when I get off and then just turn on all my stuff and just start recording. And if it's good, I keep it. If it's not good, I'm just ranting just to be ranting, just to get that all out. And I try my best not to talk about things directly at work, because that's my main stressor. But there's so many things that happen outside of that which create good stories. And I feel like when I started this, I was mainly using it to de-stress a lot, but now I'm using it as storytelling. And a lot of the stories that we do tell on here, or our experiences, they're 100% true. There may be times where we may tweak a little bit to keep you engaged, but 99% of the time, our stories are true. And it's all about relating to one another, because we live in a world where everyone is so divided, but no one, everyone may share the same experiences, but they won't say it out loud. And I feel like having this platform, I'm able to talk about things that I experienced on my end. And there may be someone, whether they're in the US or around the world or wherever, and they're like, oh, I can relate to that because that happened to me a couple years ago, a month ago, yesterday, or even earlier today, whatever it may be. You can always find something in the things that you watch and the things that you listen to. And a lot of times I escape into podcasting because it's a different world for me. It's just me and my setup, and I'm just talking. And I can say whatever I want, do whatever I want, as long as, I'm not being disrespectful or anything to anybody specifically. But I can say and do whatever I want and have no care in the world. But when I do talk, I'm going to make sure that I can back up what I'm saying with factual evidence, because a lot of times we don't have that. And we have to be better on what we listen to and what we view oftentimes. And I feel like when you listen to this podcast, it goes everywhere, left, right, up, down, back and forth. But we try to have a good time. I'm not going to really talk about what's going on in the world specifically, just because I'm here to just de-stress and to have a good time with you guys. So when you're listening to this, when you're driving, if you're driving in your car, hitting the gym, or just relaxing, you're not worried about what's going on in the world. It's mainly okay, I got about 15 to 30 minutes or so to just listen to this podcast or watch a YouTube video or whatever it is. You have that time to just reflect, breathe, and just laugh, or just reflect or laugh. It's all about having a good time. And I say many, many times again, this podcast was built on good times and good vibes. And what I mean by that is that we are going to have a good time no matter what. If the world is burning down, we will keep partying like it's 1995. And it's all about just having fun, just having a conversation. It's this is like being on the phone with a friend that you haven't talked to in a little bit. It's just like a phone call. You're enjoying it. You may be tired and want to put it down for a second. That's fine. But you can always come back to the phone call, because we're always going to be here no matter what, whether we got one person constantly supporting us, or we got 100 people or 50 people, whatever the number may be, whoever we have, you are always going to be part of the family, and we will not let you down. We're always going to try to release episodes and everything. And if we do have like a hiccup where we don't upload for weeks on end, best believe we are trying our best to bring you an episode that's going to be a whole lot better, and to make you make you forget about that break that you just had. And I'm just like, I've said it time and time again, sometimes I'm not consistent with uploading, and that is my fault. Sometimes I just don't want to record, but when I do want to record, I'm going to give you good quality. I'm going to give you something that'll keep you entertained until the next episode. If you have to go back and listen to previous episodes, go for it. If you just want to binge all the episodes, and then when we come back, you're like, oh, I caught up to all the episodes, then I can hear the growth and everything. That's great, because we're going to be better than the last. And going off of that last sentence, this is episode 30 to my knowledge, and I will say since the first episode, I have noticed that I am able to talk more, and to kind of have I have everything planned out a little bit to how I want it, to go in different orders, to make sure there is structure in the things that I do. But I will say that I have improved a lot when it comes down to talking and just relaxing. And I had a habit before of talking really fast, and when I get excited, I do talk fast. But I try to slow it down so that it's easier for people to listen to. But I don't want to be talking slow like I'm reading a novel where it's and then the bird went left. No, I don't want to talk slow. I want to talk at a good pace to where you can pay attention and keep up without having to go back the last 10 seconds or the last 15 seconds to realize, what did she say? But I'm still excited. I'm just like a little kid in a candy store every time I hit the record button, because there's so many things that I want to share with you guys, but I have to section it. I have to put it in a way that it makes sense, not only for the viewer, but also for me. So this episode is mainly on the growth of the podcast. There is going to be an episode soon about my vacation and a whole bunch of other stuff. But this is mainly about the podcast and how we have achieved a lot within the last 2 years. From the very first episode to now, there has been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of changes. And there's been a lot of time put into it. I don't want to give you a half-ass episode where it's rushed or there's no context behind it, where it's just rambling just to get an episode out. I'm going to give you the best of the best that I can always give and present that. Because I'm going to always give you my best. If it's not my best, you will not see it. It's just like how I do my photography all the time. It's when I'm taking pictures for people, whether it's for players or friends or whoever it may be, I'll take a lot of photos and I'll go back and I'll look through each and every single photo. And if I don't like it, I will not send it. And if people, when I'm getting paid for it, I will give you the best of the best. If I'm I charge cheap for my photos, but if I take 50 photos for you and 6 of them are not up to good quality, then you're not getting those. You will get the rest of them. And that is just how it is for podcasting. I record so many episodes and I just record my thoughts oftentimes. I do have episodes just saved where I'm just this could be used for something else, or I'm just ranting in this one. But I will not just give you a half-assed episode. There have been times where I have done that before in the past, but I won't do that anymore. If I feel like it's not good in my own expectation, I'm not going to upload it. If I feel like I can do better, I'll record it over and over and over. There have been times where I have recorded an episode 3 times and I'm this is ass. I cannot give this to y'all because it's a good concept, but the execution of it, it's not the best. It's not what I want. And a lot of the times I don't like, not even a lot of times, all the time we don't script anything on the podcast. We just run with it. If we have a topic, we'll talk about it beforehand and be like, okay, we're going to discuss this, this, and this, but I want to try to keep it in order. And we do that oftentimes. And so like I have a notebook and everything where I have everything written down, and I try to like keep everything in a, like, I have it like all written down in a certain way so that I know like, okay, this is the point I'm going to talk about now. And everything that I just put like little bullet points. So I just have like little things that I want to mention. And then when I get towards the end of that last bullet point, I'm going to switch it to the next one and go from there. I like structure, and having structure, especially when podcasting, makes it a whole lot easier for people to listen to. But it'll be, like I said, I'm not going to give you like half-ass work. I'm going to give you the best that I can always give. And if I can't give it to you that week, I will get it to you at another time that I know will work for everybody. And we do have some stuff planned for our 2-year anniversary of the podcast. And one of my things that I do want to do is create a playlist. Now I love music. I love all like kinds of music. And I'm really like, I will sit there and just like just decompress and just listen to a song and break it down and be like, okay, I like the sound of the trumpet or the piano or the guitar, whatever it may be. The beat, it's always going to be there, but I like breaking down music. But I do want to create a playlist that is created by everybody, not just me, but you, the listener. So in the next couple months or so, I'm going to put out like a link on our Instagram and on like the description of this podcast. And it'll be like, if you want to add a song, go to like the Google link and you can upload whatever you want. It'll be like it'll be information on it, but it'll mainly be like all music is welcome, but the theme that we're trying to go for, like it'll explain that and everything. But I want to create a playlist to where you guys can listen to it at any time and you can be like, oh, I helped create that playlist, or oh, this is such a good playlist. I actually just played like on my drive somewhere. Like if you're going to the beach or something, you can play it. And it's going to be a lot of songs put together. And the plan is to, like, it's going to be first created on Apple Music, but I'm also going to have it available on Spotify as well for those who do use that. And it'll be our podcast playlist. And it'll be a playlist available no matter what. Like whether we stop podcasting or we take like a hiatus, that playlist will be available at your disposal. And when you submit a song, we'll definitely we'll give you a shout out and everything for it. But that's just something that I really want to do, which is get everyone involved, whether you're in the US or Canada or around the world. I want you to submit something and just be a part of this playlist that we're going to make. Because like I said, I love music. And if you ever look at our Instagram, I'm always using music to promote our episodes no matter what. But it's always a specific like vibe. I love like 80s and 90s music especially. So I always like try to like go back with like Daft Punk and stuff, but I do want to have that and everything with you guys. So stay tuned for that. Another thing that I really want to do is make better content. I want to do like better episodes than the last. So like moving forward, I have like a rating system for all my episodes to where I look at them and I'm like, oh, is this one good? Like, is this one better than the last episode or the last 5 episodes? And if not, I go through and I'm going to try to listen to them and like break it down and figure, okay, this is where I think people are listening. And this is where I think people are like where I'm losing people. What can I do to keep the listener engaged for the entire duration? Or if it's too long of an episode, you have to split it 20 and 20 or however long, then we have it go that way as well, to where we're going to start looking back at our episodes and understanding what can we do better. Cabin 23 was a good episode, and so I'm going to be using that and Space Cadet and maybe the Mac and Cheese Showdown. But I want to be able to like take little pieces of our popular episodes and make episodes around that, like in the same theme of like, if we have special episodes, do like a whole special thing for that. Or if you have a special guest, like incorporate them into a way that not only will it keep you guys engaged, but it'll keep them entertained as well. So it's all about how can I entertain you guys better, and how can I produce good quality episodes to where it'll get shared with more and more people. And I do want to interact with you guys more. I know I've been using the Instagram a lot lately. When we have like our videos and everything for the episodes, we've been uploading on there and TikTok. So I want to get back to interacting with you guys more and understanding what you guys want to hear. And I believe I have a link down in the podcast description to where you can submit a topic if you choose to. And if you have a topic, don't be afraid. Send it. Just we'll look at it, and if we can fit it into something that we want to discuss, we will. Or if we just have to create a whole episode just for your topic, we can do that. We can do that as well. I want to get you guys involved. I want to interact with you guys. I want to know what you guys think and how we can do better all around. And another thing that I really want to do is I want to reach more countries and cities. I know we are mainly United States based and everything, and I do want to reach more provinces in Canada. I want to reach more territories. Like, I just want to reach more countries as a whole, because the more countries that we reach, the more likely people are going to be engaged in sharing it. And there have been people in Chile that's been listening to it, and I know like all of our listeners in the U.S., we appreciate you. Canada, we appreciate you. We appreciate all of our listeners, especially the ones like overseas and everything. Like, we see you, we appreciate you. Hell, I get excited when I see like a new country, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we just made it somewhere else. Like, when we first started, I was like, oh, we made it to Florida, and like Florida's like, it's like 4 hours from where I live, and I'm like, Jesus. But like, I would get excited every time. Like, it didn't matter if the city was here or like across the seas. I was excited. I still do get excited. Like, we had made it to Japan, and we made it to 2 cities in Japan. I got super excited. I was like, we made it all the way to Tokyo. And then there was like another small city that we made it to, and I was like, we're making progress. We are making progress, and I love it. I enjoy it. And I hope that those who are listening overseas, you are enjoying it as well. Now, I know a little bit of Spanish, and I do try my best to, like, if it's like a really like new country, I try to give them a shout out on our Instagram. Or sometimes, like, if I can, through the podcast, like, I will learn like the language just to say like thank you, because I am truly grateful for everyone that listens to the podcast. Because, like I say time and time again, without you, this podcast is nothing. And I was never expecting it to make it out of the U.S., and I'm glad that it has made it out of the U.S. and has reached many other countries and cities. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate you guys. But I do have a main goal moving forward. My main goal, because right now we're at over 700 downloads. My main goal is to hit 1,000 downloads by the end of the year. And if we do that, I'm going to try my best to get some stuff out for you guys. And that, like, what I'm talking about is like, it's been in the works for a little bit now. But I want to do my best to like get like stickers and like actual like merchandise for you guys. Another main thing, like, even though we are a small podcast, I do want to give back to the community as much as possible. So we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff with that, like whether it's doing like charity events and just giving back to people, because that's like a main thing that I do love, is giving back to not only those that are less fortunate, but those that are in a crisis and they need help in any way possible. So I do plan on doing that sometime towards the end of the year when things are good financially. And I do want to get like merchandise out for you guys soon. Like when we hit 1,000 or so, like I do want to get that out. But I am grateful, beyond grateful, to be hitting 2 years with this podcast. It started as just a simple idea, and it's turned into a nice little hobby. And I hope that moving forward into like the next like couple weeks, months, and years, that we can continue to grow. And I know everybody's getting into podcasting, but I hope that we can keep building on what we have now and be able to look back on like the next 5 years. So be like, yeah, we started out with a small podcast, and now like we're really pumping out episodes weekly. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're hitting X amount of downloads, we're getting deals with people, we're doing different kinds of promotions, this and that. I'm excited for what the future has to hold. I hope you guys are excited as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please share it with whoever. I don't care if it's with your dog. Just share it. Talk about it amongst other people. And help us reach our goal of 1,000 by the end of the year. I love and appreciate you guys. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys next episode.